Hello and welcome back to Read This Next with Nicole and Sam. Once again, coming back at it. Today we're doing a fun topic, which is why Ruth isn't here today, because we are both fans and newbies at playing D&D, and that is our topic, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
So Sam you were telling me that when did you just play?
This past Saturday, I went and I spent 4 hours at a local board game cafe, and they had a couple of DMs there teaching beginners how to get into the
Love
game
that.
because it's so complex. There's so much information. I
Yeah.
was like, I need like guidance from people. So it was
Yeah.
super fun. Yeah.
What class did you play?
I am going to be a high elf ranger.
Cool.
uh, very, very much level one. But that's where we're started. Her name is Eleanor. I named her after Samwise Gamgee's daughter.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah,
cute.
yeah, I'm excited. I like her so far.
That's awesome. So what is your outside of playing? Do you have any experience with D&D?
So, I would say I'm a big fan of Stranger Things. It
Mm-hmm.
is my favorite show ever. And obviously, it's very much into the D&D lore.
Yeah.
So just by watching that show, and especially like season four, big Eddie Munson fan,
Oh yeah,
I was
people
like,
were obsessed.
yeah, I was like, I think I need to maybe get into this because I like fantasy, and
Yeah.
I've played like Skyrim and Elder Scrolls and RPG games like that. So it's like it's about time. But
Yeah.
this is my first time with actual game.
Fair enough. So I have a ongoing one with a couple of my friends. Shout out to my DM Cam. Love you. Every time I'm always like, I want you to know how great you're doing. Like it's so
Well, it's
fun.
hard. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a hard job.
I play a human monk. That's all I got. I love being able to just like walk up to so they can run really far really fast, and they
Okay.
also most of their stuff is just like punching. So most people play like with weapons and like axes, and I'm just like gotcha.
Fists.
Yeah. I'm like, ugh.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, so very fun. And I like listening to D&D podcasts, and I ran
Mhm.
D&D at the library.
Okay.
Baby DM.
Yeah,
Baby DM. It
yeah.
wasn't like strictly D&D. It was like one shots that are
Okay.
the tabletop
Beginners.
RPGs.
Yeah, beginner stuff, which yeah, I think a lot of people need. I think there needs to be more opportunities for people to learn because
Yeah.
it's about finding groups that are willing to kind of take you on and teach you.
Yeah.
But when did you start playing?
We started playing in 2020 during the pandemic.
Okay.
We
Okay, good
like
time.
literally never played in person, and then finally the restrictions lifted enough, and we're like, we're doing it. We're
It's
playing in
time.
person. It's gonna be
Yes.
sick. And then like it was so much better playing in person, but it's still
Yeah.
fun online. It's
Yeah.
just when you get those awkward pauses and people are all trying to then they all try and talk at the same time. A lot
Yeah.
of that.
I gotcha.
Yeah, it was super fun though. Okay, so our list today consists of a variety of D&D or D&D-esque kind of things. So we'll just hop back and forth, and let me make my screen smaller so I can see you and the thing at the same time.
All right.
Okay, so did you want to start or did you want me to start?
I'll start. I only because this first one looks really cute. The
It
cover
does.
looks really nice. Okay, so this one is called The Last Session, Volume 1. And it looks like this is a series.
Yeah,
There's
it's like a
volumes 1 to
collection of comics. Yeah.
5. Okay, so we got some graphic novel action going on. And it's by Jasmine Walls. And roll for initiative. Jay, Lana, Drew, Walter, and Shen began playing dice and death traps in high school. Now dealing with college and all the twists and turns of their lives, their weekly game has been a wonderful constant. But as college graduation looms and it feels like their lives are all moving down very different paths, Lana's thrilled to finally complete the
Oh,
party's unfinished original campaign. But
yay.
when Jay's partner Cassandra joins the game, Lana refuses to let her inexperience ruin the best part of her week. But in the end, that may be Lana and the party's undoing. Writer Jasmine Wells, and artist Dozer Draws, who does Lumberjanes.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, weaves a heartfelt story of friends learning to cope with all the changes that come from growing up. That sounds
That's
so sweet.
cute. It
Yes.
does. It
Yeah.
also sounds like it'll be interesting to see how their personal relationships end up playing out in D&D because like
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of have to be pretty confident either with yourself or comfortable with the group to be able to like confidently role play.
Oh, yeah,
And I
for
imagine
sure.
being a newbie coming in with like all these experienced people would be like, "Hi, I'm here to play
It's
D&D."
so intimidating, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's intimidating starting in general, but yeah,
Did you
the
play with a group
experienced
of
people.
friends?
Nope, it was all strangers and we were all brand new. So it was definitely low scale, like we're timid, we're learning, but
Mhm.
the dungeon master was great. He got us out of our shells a bit, but I can imagine how this story might unwind
Yeah.
with a newbie.
For sure. Okay. This next one, I believe, is a nonfiction. It's called Game Wizards: The Epic Battle for Dungeons and Dragons by John Peterson. When D&D was first released to a small hobby community, it hardly seemed destined for mainstream success, and yet this arcane tabletop role-playing game became an unlikely pop culture phenomenon. In Game Wizards, Peterson chronicles the rise of D&D from hobbyist pastime to mass market sensation. I also have a really hard time saying Dungeons and Dragons, so most of the time I'm just gonna call it D&D.
That
Uh,
works.
it just like all blends. I'm like Dungeons and
It's
Dragons.
a tongue twister. Yeah.
From the initial collaboration to the later feud of its creators, Gary Gygax and Dave M. Arneson. As the game's 50th anniversary approaches, Peterson explains how D&D and its creators navigated their successes, setbacks, and controversies. Peterson describes Gygax and Arneson's first meeting and their work towards the 1975 release of the game. The founding of TSR and its growth as a company, and Arneson's acrimonious departure and subsequent challenges to TSR. He recounts the satanic panic accusations of that D&D was sacrilegious and dangerous and how they made the game famous. And he chronicles TSR's reckless expansion and near fatal corporate infighting, which culminated with the company in debt and overextended, and the end of Gygax's losing battle to retain control over TSR and D&D. Which this to me sounds incredibly cool. Like the history of D&D is fascinating to me because they keep coming out with new additions, and
Yeah.
then the whole thing is like being able to take this system and play it however you want. So it's interesting to me that they're able to keep releasing new ones. Like,
Yeah.
when will Sims 4 be replaced by Sims 5?
Yes, exactly. No, I mean, there's also so much history behind the game because it's been around for so long. So
Mhm.
that actually sounds like a pretty good read if you're into like where did this game come from and what's it gone through over the
Yeah.
last couple of decades.
Yeah, no kidding. And this I think the Satanic Panic would be really
Yeah,
interesting to read about
agreed.
because that's wild times.
Yeah. And it again, it reminds me of Stranger Things, Eddie
Yep.
Munson, R.I.P.
The ultimate Satanic Panic.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got, am I going to be able to say that? Let's see.
I think
The
it's
sorcerer,
Pyongyang.
the sorcerer of sorcier. Okay, I'm restarting. The sorcerer of Pyongyang.
I
Pyong,
think so. Pyongyang?
Pyongyang. I'm going to
Yeah.
say Pyongyang. Yeah, a novel. Okay, and this is a fictional novel. So, do, do, do. 10-year-old Junsu is a bright and obedient boy whose only desire is to be a credit to his family, his nation, and most importantly, his dear leader. However, when he discovers a copy of the Dungeon Master's Guide left behind in a hotel room by a rare foreign visitor, a new and colorful world opens up to him. With the help of an English speaking teacher, Junsu deciphers the rules of the famous role playing game, and his imaginary adventures sweep him away from the harsh reality of a famine stricken North Korea. Over time, the game leads Junsu on a spellbinding and unexpected journey through the hidden layers of his country. Toward precocious success, glory, love, betrayal, prison, and
Oh.
a spell and a spell at the pinnacle of the North Korean elite and an extraordinary kind of redemption. A vivid, uplifting, and deeply researched novel, The Sorcerer of Pyongyang is a love story and a tale of survival against the odds. Inspired by the testimony of North Korean refugees and drawing on the author's personal experience of North Korea, it explores the power of empathy and imagination in a society where they are dangerous liabilities. That one sounds really great.
Yeah.
I like the concept behind that one for sure.
And I like that it's I mean, it doesn't sound like the author is uh Korean, but
Mhm.
I like that it's based on his personal experiences going there. But
Yeah.
I really like the idea of whenever we do episodes like these, like I really like a really fleshed out fantasy setting. So I'm really curious if this kid Junsu goes into like Korean mythology and pulls from there to make new
Right.
monsters. Like I would love to see what other countries are doing with D&D.
Agreed, because it's so expansive. Like when you get into this game, there's really no borders, there's no
Mhm.
limits as to what you can do. So that sounds good. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, me too. Oh, I accidentally hit Chrome. Don't pull up Chrome. Oh, it did. One sec.
Whoops.
Okay. This next one is kind of tells the same story as the second one, but it's a graphic novel. So it's The Rise of the Dungeon Master, Gary Gygax, and the creation of D&D. So if you aren't a nonfiction reader and still want to hear a little bit about the rise of D&D, this might be more your speed. So Rise of the Dungeon Master tells in graphic form the story of Gary Gygax, co-creator of D&D, one of the most influential games ever made. Like the game itself, the narrative casts the reader into the adventure from a first-person point of view. Interesting. Taking on the roles of the different characters in the story. Gygax was the son of immigrants who grew up in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin in the 1950s. An imaginative misfit, he escaped into a virtual world based on science fiction novels, military history, and strategic games like chess. In the mid-70s, he co-created the wildly popular D&D game. Starting out in the basement of his home, he was soon struggling to keep up with the demand. Gygax was a purist in the sense that he was adamant that players use their imaginations and that the rules of the game remain flexible. A creative mind with no real knowledge of business, he made some strategic errors and had a falling out with the game's co creator, his close friend and partner, David Arneson. By the late 70s, the game had become so popular among kids and parents no, not the parents. Among kids, that the parents started to worry. So much so that a mom's group was formed to alert parents to the dangers of the role play and fantasy, the satanic panic.
Mhm.
The backlash only fueled the fires, and young fans continued to play the game, escaping into imaginary worlds. Before long, D&D conventions were set up around the country, and the game inspired everything from movies to the first video games. With D&D, Gygax created the kind of role-playing fantasy that would fuel the multi-billion-dollar video game industry and become a foundation of contemporary geek culture. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Also, did you see the D&D movie? I haven't yet.
I want to. I was just thinking about it today actually because I want to go and I want to watch
Yeah,
it.
because we're both like D&D, D&D,
Yeah.
movie?
And it does look it looks a bit corny, but
Oh
now that
yeah.
I've kind of gotten more into I'm trying to like learn, all the lore, there's so much information. I feel like it could be a good educational piece of media for me.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah.
I heard like I heard a lot of people really liked it.
Yeah.
But they do so like when you're playing and you go, I want to cast this or I want to do this action. They'll just do it.
Yeah.
And I guess my friends they play a rogue and a cleric, I think.
Okay.
And the cleric was like, "Hey, I cast that spell." And I was like, "Oh, that's so
Oh, that
cute."
is cute. That's
They were
me.
just so excited about it. They're like, "I do
Yeah.
that."
It's fun. It's kind of relatable now because
Yeah.
I am a ranger in
Yeah.
Fantasyland.
You are Katniss
Yes.
Everdeen.
Yes. Okay. The next one looks like it's another graphic novel.
It's technically a kid's one, but I
Okay.
it's good.
Okay, the illustrations look super cute.
Hmm.
Okay, so Carrie and the Knight of the Forest. This is by Andy Watson. Carrie needs to get home. His parents are sick. When a spirit in the forest lets him know of a shortcut, Carrie finds himself on a quest filled with magic, self-discovery, and new friends, who may or may not help him on his journey. Will he make it through the forest and get home in time to save his parents? An adventure about fear, loss, and finding your own way, this enchanting story comes to life with a hero that every reader can relate to.
Hmm.
Sweet. Sounds kind of
Yeah.
spooky.
It's not, so it's not scary, but it is kind of, that's definitely the vibe.
Yeah.
I didn't read this one, but I did give it to a couple people. I'm I could be, now I think I'm getting it confused with a different one. If I remember this other title that I'm going to tell you about right now, I'll put it up here. But I think this is the one where when you're reading it, you can play the, like you're playing the game kind of along with
Okay.
it, which is where
Okay.
the D&D aspect comes in.
Cool.
Um, and
Is
it's
it kind of
kind
like
of
a
a
choose
choose your own adventure.
my favorite? Okay, that
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
But it's like instead of it being a choose your own adventure just in like turn to page whatever, you're kind of building the story as you go, which
Okay.
is very cool. And I could be wrong. It could be another one that I'm thinking of, but I think
Hmm.
it's this one.
It
Like I
kind of
said,
sounds, it sounds like it would be,
yeah.
who may or may not help him on his journey. Will he
Yeah.
make it through the forest? I don't know. Maybe that's up to you as the reader, right?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cute though. This next one I personally want to read because it looks really good, but I think it was out when I last looked. This is Homerooms and Hall Passes by Tom O'Donnell. In the mystical realm of Briandalore, I'll go with that. Every day, the brave and the bold delve into hidden temples and forgotten dungeons, battling vile monsters and evil wizards to loot their treasure hoards for sweet, sweet magic items. But in their free time, our heroes, Thromder, the mighty barbarian, Devis, the shifty thief, Vila, the noble paladin, Sorrowshade, the gloom elf assassin, and Albiorix, the good. It says good in brackets with an exclamation point. The good wizard needs to relax and unwind. That's why they meet up once a week to play Homeroom and Hall Passes, a role playing game where they assume the characters of average American eighth graders. A little twist.
That's funny.
I know, I would not want to be an eighth grader.
No.
No. But when the five young adventurers are magically transported into their H&H game by an ancient curse, they must band together to survive their toughest challenge yet, middle school. Who knew that
Cute.
battling ogres would be easier than passing algebra or navigating the cafeteria social scene? They must use what they've learned from playing homeroom and hall passes to figure out how to save their game, how to save their game world, which might actually be real. It says it's like D&D meets Jumanji, which is very
Yeah,
cute.
that's fun. I love how inverted it is,
Yeah.
because it's one thing to be off in Fantasyland fighting ogres and trolls and giants. I don't think I'd ever want to go back to the eighth grade.
No.
I
No.
don't think so. That's funny. I like
Yeah.
the sounds of that.
Yeah, it seems really sweet. And I like that it's, like you said, more grounded than, well,
Hmm.
it'll be interesting to see the other perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like how does this wizard play an an eighth grader?
Yes. How does
Yeah,
an 80-year-old, let's assume, 80-year-old wizard go to not having magic and trying to
yeah,
open their locker?
it's so fun.
Yeah.
Uh, Okay, so the next one, we've got the Adventure Zone graphic novels. So this is number one. It's called Here There Be Gerblins. Gerb Here There Be Gerblins. Okay.
Might be gerblins, like
Maybe
a
gerbil
gerbil.
gerblin.
I couldn't tell you.
It's either gerblins or gerblins. We'll leave it up to interpretation. And this is by Clint McElroy, Griffin McElroy, and Justin McElroy. I'm assuming they're siblings.
Yeah, it's they play D&D. Well, I'll explain afterwards, but yeah,
Okay,
they're the
okay.
McElroy brothers.
Okay, so C, the illustrated exploits of three lovable dummies set loose in a classic fantasy adventure. Read their journey from small-time bodyguards to world-class artifact hunters. Marvel at the sheer metafictional chutzpah
Chutzpah.
of a graphic novel based on a story created in a podcast where three dudes and their dad play a tabletop role-playing game in real time. Join Taco, the elf wizard, Merle, the dwarf cleric, and Magnus, the human warrior, for an adventure they are poorly equipped to handle at best. Guided by their snarky
Guided.
DM in a graphic novel like the smash hit podcast it's based on, will tickle your funny bone, tug your heartstrings, and probably pants you if you give it half a chance. With endearingly off-kilter storytelling from master goofballs Clint McElroy and the McElroy brothers, and vivid, adorable art by Carrie Pietsch, Pietsch,
Sure.
Carrie, the Adventure Zone, Here There Be, Gerblins slash Gerblins, is the comic equivalent of a role-playing in your friend's basement at 2 a.m., eating Cheetos and laughing your ass off as she rolls critical failure after critical failure. That sounds like a hoot, that one. That one sounds
Yeah.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you listen to any D&D podcasts?
Yesterday I started listening to the first Critical Role campaign.
Mm,
So not a pro yet, but I'm
not
dipping my
yet.
toes in. Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna
You're gonna
happen
be.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is they still play I think a few ones. They've done like I think 3 campaigns. I haven't watched them personally, but they do like uh gaming content too.
Okay.
Um you'd probably recognize them if you looked them up because they're
Yeah.
like all over the interwebs. But
Okay.
yeah, I've heard their campaign is really good. Them uh Roll 20. No, Roll
Yeah.
20, that's not correct. What is it called? Critical Role is the one, and then the other is Dimension 20?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know, the one that has Brennan from. Anyways, the viewers that are listening are crying right now because we
They're like,
pronounced everything in
you,
that wrong.
you noobs. You don't know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
We're baby DM player. No, not baby DMs. We're baby D&D players.
Give us a chance.
Oh my god. Okay, this last one I bought because I want to read it. It's called Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, and it's kind of hot right now, this book. Everyone's clamoring to read it.
Okay.
Okay, after a lifetime of bounties and bloodshed, Viv is hanging up her sword for the last time. The battle-weary orc aims to start fresh, opening the first ever coffee shop in the city of Thune. But old and new rivals stand in the way of success. Not to mention that no one has the faintest idea what coffee actually is. If Viv wants to put the blade behind her and make her plans a reality, she won't be able to do it alone. But the true rewards of the uncharted path are the travelers you meet along the way, and whether drawn together by ancient magic, flaky pastry, or a freshly brewed cup, they may become partners, family, and something deeper than she could have ever dreamed. So, the reason this one got included is because it is, well, obviously it's D&D. That's why it got included, but it's apparently this like really sweet fantasy and it's cozy. Everyone keeps describing it as like a cozy fantasy. So there's no like you don't need a trigger warning for it. There's
Mhm.
no like true battles. It's just kind of like a nice little romantic read. Like
Okay,
it's
it's gentle.
yeah, it looks
Yeah.
really cute and they've the author has made um a second one already and I think
Okay.
he's coming out with a couple more. Couldn't confirm, but yeah, it's just everyone describes it as like low no pressure fantasy, which
Okay,
is
I like that.
yeah, cuz
And I
usually
feel like,
fantasy is like high stakes.
yeah, and kind of like maybe scary.
Yeah.
But I like the cover of this one as well. I think just by seeing the cover, I would probably read it.
Yeah,
Add it to the
exactly.
list. Yeah.
I'll loan it to you once I've finished it.
All
Also, it's
right.
LGBTQ and we
Whoop,
love that.
whoop, whoop.
Represent.
Yeah.
Whoa, the lighting in the room changed when I did that.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
There's some magic. You're
Yeah.
uh you're a druid.
Okay. I think the last thing on there was just to mention that we have talked about a different one called Chaotic Good by, I think their last name is Whitney. No, it's Whitney Rader. I could be incorrect, but it's a little it's a good book. We've talked about it before. Go check it out if you want
Yeah.
to.
Google it.
Um, yeah, but I'm gonna wrap it up unless we have anything else to add.
No, that was fun though. I like
Yeah,
this one. Yep.
I love this. Okay, so thank you everybody for watching, listening, whatever you're doing. Make sure to follow us on everything, like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. Check out our show notes. They are www.tbplofftheshelf.com, and we will catch you all in 2 weeks. Bye bye.